Seems like a lot of the economic development discussion in the past year or so in the community has revolved around Titan and the one company coming here. We've had several people text in questions about Titan. I think this one sums it up best for the purposes of this discussion. Does Titan hurt or improve the Wilmington brand? I love being able to ask the questions and not have to answer them.
No? I'll jump in. Again, diversity. I think as a community to say that we only want to attract clean businesses, or we only want to attract intellectual businesses, or we only want to attract knowledge-based businesses, and we want all the nitty-gritty, dirty stuff to go someplace else, I think is not addressing and not assuming a responsibility that we have as a community. Without getting into the details of Titan or any other industry, I think as intelligent, competent, environmentally sensitive, engaged people, Titan and other types of businesses, this may be the very community they need to come into, because it's not going to be a situation where the perception is it's an environmental justice issue where you place 5 or 6, 10 or 20 of these types of industries in one core group, lower socioeconomic areas, and they are bombarded with those sort of pollutants or potential pollutants because the rest of society thinks it's not something that we need to have in our communities. We drive on roads, we want new bridges, but we don't want to have to deal with the after effects. Part of my background is I spent 5 years in our Pennsylvania Department of Environmental Protection and in the state, Pennsylvania, highly industrialized, and there are key communities in that state where literally 5, 10, 15, 20 industries are situated within a 20-mile radius, if that. Again, not to tout Titan or any other industry. I think we owe it to all businesses of all types to give them an opportunity to come into our community to demonstrate that they're able to meet the laws that are in force. If it's necessary to draft and pass additional legislation, I think we need to be actively part of that process. But to just say across the board that we're going to say no to this and no to that and no to this, and this is all we're going to accept, but yet we believe that we're going to be able to proceed forward, I think is being unrealistic, and I think it is, again, not meeting our obligations of citizens, not just of this community, but as of the world. We're connected by technology. We're also connected to the responsibilities of ensuring that we use the environmental resources that are available to us all.
Although I'm not a politician, I'm going to answer the question in a rather vague way. Because the thing that was struck me most about that question was about, will it help or hurt the brand? I think the stridency of the debate over Titan hurts the brand. When news on Wilmington is in our local paper, it's available to the globe. And we had a really positive example of that the other day. Connie, who is the president, Majorette, who is the president of the Chamber of Commerce here, she received a call from CNN Money, I think, and they want to write an article about Wilmington, and Wilmington's going to be featured as one of a handful of progressive entrepreneur-centric kind of cities in the United States. And one of the things that happened was, in addition to being on the radar screen, the article appeared on Wilmington 2.0, which was an article about entrepreneurship and about Cape Fear Future that appeared in Rob's paper. When that appears in our local paper, it appears all over the world instantly, and anyone can search it. So when we talk about brand and brand protection, we have to make sure that when we should have healthy discussions and healthy debates, but it ought not be as strident as it is, because that's what gets communicated to anybody who's thinking about coming here, and maybe even helping make this a better place. Now, I often get asked the question, well, Tom, you seem to have emerged as the mouthpiece for Wilmington 2.0. How does Titan fit? And my answer is, I think that in a 2.0 world realized, there won't be a Titan discussion. It just won't really be a viable discussion. And I appreciate the sophisticated intellectual debates, and I'm intelligent enough to know that moderation in considering that whole discussion is essential. And so with all the respect in the world, I still say, if this community understood what's been going on here for the last 10 to 15 years and had mobilized and organized and started even thinking in regional economic development to consider this world that they really weren't considering and understanding, there could have been a different outcome. And so I think from this point going forward, when I and others who care about, seeing this push for entrepreneurship and technology and all I think the good things that come with that, because we have hundreds and thousands of really good paying jobs where people are working out of their houses in small little offices at Lumina Station and other nice developments around town. And, the impact to this quality of place is very low.
Anybody else?
It's good for the brand. The process was terrible for the brand. The post fallout was as Tom said, all over the world. But I think part of the process is, soon we're getting back to the education and the government. Look at our community and look at our state and look at our nation. Most of the frameworks that we depend upon to operate those organizations are frameworks from the turn of the century or frameworks from the Industrial Revolution. I think what Tom points out for Wilmington 2.0 is that there's another way to develop, another way to set up a framework. Our educational system doesn't have to be born out of the pre-industrial age in terms of hierarchies and how things work and operate. Our military's got off that. Our military was the one that instituted that 30, 40, 50, 100 years ago, and they've moved on. They're not even set up the way General Motors was in 1940. But our schools still are, our communities still are, and our political base still is. We have to get off of that. In terms of the Titan, we have to be, I think, as Melanie said, inclusive, and we have to be smart, and she used the word trust. We have to trust that the laws that are in place are going to be actively enforced. If they meet the standard and they meet the test, they should be allowed to come. If they don't meet the test, then they shouldn't. And if we don't like the test, then we need to get our butts to Raleigh and tell them to change the laws.